So, Maria, there's a lot of confusion, some could say, around the tariff issue. You understand financial markets. You talk to more CEOs than anybody and lawmakers. What is the latest with the tariff situation as of today, Wednesday, April 16th, as we are talking, Maria?
Well, it's interesting and it's funny that, you're saying, what is the situation today? Because, of course, we know that it appears and it feels like it's constantly changing. But the truth is, President Trump has had plans in place from day one. And he's trying right now to categorize things in different buckets, frankly. To make it as simple as possible. He started this exercise out by focusing on the fentanyl coming into the country, killing 100,000 Americans a year. And so, he went to the countries that, he was looking to help. And he put a 20% tariff on them for failing to really stop the problem. And, that was initially the first reason. And then, it's also a revenue generator. He's also raising money into U.S. coffers. So there's that. He's talking about $2 billion a day. Of course, that's terrific, knowing our debt and deficits. Then he's talking about bringing manufacturing to America, and that's another reason that he's looking at tariffs. So today we've got tariffs on fentanyl, which is under the international emergency economic powers that the president is using, which of course allows the president to regulate, foreign and business activity internationally. And place those tariffs on partners or wherever. And then he's got the tariffs having to do with aluminum and steel. And he's talking about tariffs there being a national security issue. So you know what, Charlie? I think this whole thing is not just an economic issue, but it is a national security issue. And that's what I wish, corporate America would understand. I wish most people would understand. These people that are trading stocks and, selling their portfolio and putting pressure on the markets. It's really not a good idea. And it's not, when I say not a good idea, it's not a good idea for them. Okay. Because you have to hold, the stock market is the best place long-term for wealth creation. So if you really want to make money over the long term, decide where you want to put your, where you want to invest. We can get to that later. That's another conversation. Stay there and you don't trade in and out of it. Okay. So you stay there long term. If you didn't sell anything, you're fine. Okay. So you saw lots of volatility on Wall Street in the last couple of weeks. But again, this is a national security issue. And I really don't care how much, it cuts into people's profits right now. It's not the priority. The priority is that communist China is undermining America at every turn, whether it be, okay, you could start with COVID. Why don't we start there? Okay, COVID, we all know where it came from, and we knew that actually very early on. Secondly, there was a COVID cover-up. They cornered the market on things, like masks and gloves and this and that. And I remember reporting that at the time because I had my hospital sources call me and say, Maria, the ships were on their way to America with all this stuff that we need. They were told, turn around and go back to China. So they totally cornered the market on PPE and the products that we needed. And then they basically stopped flights going out. Stopped flights coming in, but allowed people to go out of China, out of Wuhan, right to Italy, where they had their Belt and Road Initiative. All those people were working in Italy, and then it spread globally. So there's a COVID cover-up. There's also obviously massive, massive surveillance. They're surveilling us at every turn. They had, not to mention the spy balloon that travels the country, thanks Joe Biden for the whole week of having the surveillance balloon send information back to the Chinese Communist Party in real time. But you also have spies galore coming in all the time. They have exploited the student visa process. They have exploited and capitalized on anything they can. And it's because the Communist Party of China wants to overtake the United States as the number one superpower. President Trump is aware of this. So he needs to protect the country. And one of the most important ways and direct ways to do that is to ensure that America is independent of its own production. There is no way in hell anybody would believe that we are completely reliant on communist China for our prescription drugs. It's outrageous. We can't have it any longer. We need to change that immediately. Advanced semiconductor chips, same thing. We are reliant on Taiwan. We all know that China wants to reunite with Taiwan. So in 3 seconds, China will be able to shut the lights off and on in the world if they go in and get all of those 90% of advanced semiconductor chips. These are serious issues. So President Trump is making it so expensive and so hard for companies not to want to produce in America, not to want to manufacture in America, that they're all going to immediately start talking like patriots. And that's what should happen.